Hello, welcome back to my channel. Yes. So, I've prepared this stream. This has been a stream I've been excited to do because we were going to do the same old transfer stories, transfer waffles, really. And I decided let's do something fun. So, obviously, you can only do this once in a while, but I decided while we are here, let's do a steel man of Man City transfers, terrible transfers, but let's steel man them. Let's try as best as possible to justify them. So, if you don't know what a steel man is, in fact, let me share my screen here and show you guys, because Google can tell us way better than I ever could. So, a steel man argument is when you try to make an argument as good, strong, presentable as possible, even should you disagree with it. So, you can see here that this is what a steel man is. By opening a link, I meant to open the image. So, if you don't know what a steel man is, here you go. I'm not sure how well you can see that here. Okay, you can see that pretty well. So that's what a steel man is. Try to make the argument as strong as possible. So, doing that, I'm taking your words, opinions, and I'm gonna steel man them. So, I am starting with, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna put them in red, by the way. That's how bad they are. I'm gonna put them in red. The first suggestion is none other than Marcus Rashford. Somebody suggested these, by the way. This is something I got suggested off Twitter. Marcus Rashford, Man City. Let's figure out how it works. So, Rashford, it's not actually the worst option out there. Like, I know it's a terrible option, but it's not the worst, to be fair here. So, how would I justify Marcus Rashford? Very difficult for me. But what I would say here with Marcus Rashford is you have a player who can do a job. Can run, can score. It's not a lot, but he can do a job. And on the counter, you can go down, have a counter, score. So with Marcus Rashford, I believe you offered something different. It's like Jeremy Doku, but homegrown. Again, not good enough, absolutely. But if you have him on the bench, homegrown, it does matter. Homegrown does matter. Maybe, just maybe, you have an argument there. So for me, I would say, if you're willing to accept the premise that we are short on homegrown players, we definitely need homegrown players. If you are willing to accept that premise, if you are willing to argue that our wingers right now are maybe a bit short-stacked, especially should Doku leave, and that right now on the counter we don't have that many outlets. If we're willing to accept all those premises, which I think all of us are, then we could argue, out of desperation maybe, one could go and sign Marcus Rashford for Man City to play here for maybe 1 or 2 years, which will give us the chance to sort out our homegrown problems while he is here, and then he can leave on a free, or we can sell him. There you go. That is Marcus Rashford, steel man to Man City. Oh, this is gonna be a fun stream, isn't it? So, by the way, Liam Delap in 13 months went from Hull to Chelsea. He's ruined his career. Why is he going to Chelsea? Go back to Hull, you know. Go back to Hull. Like, difference in quality, you know. So, the next person I will steel man here for Man City is actually Kalvin Philips. So, let me put a K in front of his name so people know the Philips we're talking about. Yes, it is Kalvin Philips. I got this from Rosa in the YouTube post I made. If you don't know, I made a YouTube post before I went live. Let me even go to this post. There we go. So if you don't know, I made a YouTube post and Rosa offered me fucking Philips. Rosa, I have thought a very long time about this one, so you better be happy. You better be happy. with the argument I'm about to invent for Kalvin Philips here. So, currently, Kalvin Philips is on a 6-year contract with Man City, which means he signed in 22, he leaves in 2028. We are not able to sell this guy. Nobody is taking him. His wages are too big, and he just doesn't show any promise at Man City. Or at any other club he's been. Ipswich, he was on the bench. But that should be a problem we want to solve. If Kalvin Philips cannot be sold because he is not attractive, turn him into an attractive footballer. Man City, once again, I'm going to use the same argument here as for Rashford. We are short on some homegrown players. So you get Kalvin Philips in, you have a homegrown player who can play as a centre back. Not as a midfielder, but as a centre back. Because here is the thing, yeah? As a centre back, you don't have to be as quick passing wise. He is very physical, I suppose, and you play against the weaker teams in the league, you can get away with it. We have seen him play centre back before for Man City in pre-season, and he didn't look great, but he looked okay. He looked passable. So maybe should we play Kalvin Philips as a backup centre back, play him maybe off the bench to rest Ruben Diaz or Guardiola, who are both in big need of some rest at the moment. Then Kalvin Philips can be a bench player, and by making him a bench player at Man City, maybe restoring his confidence and showing how he maybe can work for Pep Guardiola as a centre back. Maybe not great, but can still do a job off the bench. We can make Kalvin Philips more attractive to our buying club. So that way Kalvin Philips can potentially be sold. There you go. That is my best steal man I can think up of Kalvin Philips. Never ask me again, Rosa, you fraud, to justify Kalvin Philips staying at Man City. I know I asked for it, but that is proper fraud settings, you know, Rosa. That is proper fraud settings. The next option is Hojlund. I forgot his name for a second. Hojlund, I also got this one from Twitter. So Rashford and Philips I got from Twitter. Rashford and Hojlund I got from Twitter. Philips from YouTube community post. So Hojlund. I've also had to think a long while about this, and I think I have somewhat of a justification. So Rasmus Hojlund has looked incredibly poor at Man United. However, I would like to caveat that, you know, because if you actually think about it, yeah, has not everyone looked bad at Man United? Think about it. Man United has really struggled with a lot of players recently. Casemiro, the moment he got there, did not look like what he used to be. Anthony left Man United, looked much sharper. Sancho leaves United, looks much better. So a lot of these players at Man United, they do end up leaving the club and they look a lot better. So I'm not saying Hojlund can be a qualitative striker for Man City, but what I can say is you get Hojlund in, he is a striker that is so much inferior to Erling Haaland. And he knows just how much inferior he is, that he would be happy to sit on the bench and to play 10 minutes at the end of a game that we're winning 5-0, or to play a cup game, or to play a game against a relegation team. And should we be able to improve Hojlund to at least a decent margin, then Hojlund could be a decent player for Man City, a temporary stopgap for a Haaland cover. Not replacement, not backup, but cover. Someone that can just give Haaland some rest once in a while. These are fraud settings. Big up to him. By the way, do be liking and subscribing, of course. I don't care. Really not care. Tomorrow Belgium plays against Macedonia. Really not care. Belgium to win. I'll go with that. I'll throw in Serge Gnabry. Okay, on the spot here. Let's make something up for Serge Gnabry. Well, what number does he even have? 11? I don't know. Let's go with 11. Gnabry, there we go. So, Serge Gnabry is... Is Serge Gnabry even under 30? Because the rules are, just as a reminder, the rules are the player has to be under 30. Is he even under 30? Gnabry. He's just under 30. You frauds. You are praying on this one, aren't you, Dassul? You are praying that we take Serge Gnabry off your hands, aren't you? Anyhow, Gnabry. Gnabry is a winger who is versatile. You can put him left wing, right wing. You can even put him false 9. You can put him in midfield. So this is a versatile player, the type of profile that Pep Guardiola likes. With a lot of players leaving, potentially, we may need a player like Gnabry who can play multiple positions. And Gnabry, if we look at the shared statistics, let's look at Gnabry's statistics, yeah? He actually does get goals, 7 goals and 5 assists in 27 games. It's not too bad. Now, of course, last season he had an injury, so he's just coming back of an injury season as well. If you look at season before that, 14 goals, 10 goals, 12 goals, 12 goals, 10 assists by the way. So maybe this can be a very good squad player, an impact substitution. So Serge Gnabry, let's say, for example, that Cherki is injured. You can now throw on Serge Gnabry. I don't know if that is a very good justification, but I think it can work. I think that Gnabry can work because maybe the issue would become then with Gnabry, potentially. He misses too many chances, for example. We need to be more clinical. But I would counter-argue to that. He misses a lot of chances because he creates chances for himself. He gets into positions where he can have a chance and score. This is what Gnabry does, in my opinion, very well. So Gnabry is not necessarily the worst option, in my opinion. You could have offered me worse. You could have offered me worse than Gnabry. What are these? Bro, those are. What is this? Aaron Ramsdale? Rosa is trying to end my career here. He's trying to kill my my credibility. Okay, let's try Aaron Ramsdale. Ramsdale, if I can type, please. If I can type. There we go. And let's add it to here too. Ramsdale up next. I've got to actually think about this one because I don't believe that Ramsdale would be happy to sit on the bench. Let's start off with that. Ramsdale would not be happy to sit on a Man City bench. The reason he left Arsenal is because he was on the bench. Now, one could argue, yes, he left Arsenal because he was not happy to sit on the bench, but that was a club that was not winning trophies, and that was before he got relegated again. So maybe you could then argue, if Ramsdale has been humbled by that experience, maybe he will accept a bench role. I, however, don't think that that is a good argument. I believe that falls a bit flat. So instead of that, I would give you a completely different argument. I would say it doesn't matter if he's good enough to start, because in my opinion, neither are Ederson nor Ortega. Now, we want to get quality replacements for these players, of course. Ederson is not the quality he used to be in the treble season, for example, but we used to have a certain quality there in that treble season, and we want to replicate that quality. So maybe Ramsdale is not able to replicate that, but if you do bring Ramsdale in and you put him in your goalkeeper spot, he's experienced in these Premier League title races. He's not a terrible goalkeeper. Getting relegated is not completely his fault at Southampton, and he made a lot of saves throughout the season. So maybe our homegrown is that bad again, that we need to bring in the likes of Ramsdale to fix that up, and we just could not find a better replacement immediately for Ederson or Ortega, which means that on a short-term deal, we could maybe take Ramsdale to Man City. He is only 27 years old, and goalkeepers do tend to get better with age and experience. Goalkeepers reach a prime later than the majority of players. So this is a stopgap player that you bring in for Man City, and if you get lucky, this is a stopgap player that you bring in and gets even better. So I think that this is not optimal, but if this is what you have to do, then maybe it is not the worst either. Maybe this is not quite the worst. So, there we go. We've done 5 players already. And man, we are on fraud watch right now. We are on fraud watch. Chiesa. Right, let me try to justify Chiesa for you guys. Where does Chiesa even play now? How old is he? 27. Okay, he's 27. So, does he still play for Liverpool? Or did he leave Liverpool? Okay, he went to Liverpool on a signing. He's not a loan, he's a signing. Okay. So, for Chiesa, I would argue that Liverpool misused Chiesa. Because if you look in the cups here for Chiesa, actually gotten good numbers in the cups. 1 goal in 2 games. 1 goal and 1 assist in 3 games. These are not terrible numbers. He's got an assist in only 107 minutes in the Champions League. Sure, he did not score in the Premier League, but he only played 104 minutes. So I would argue that it's not necessarily Chiesa's fault. If we go to the season before that at Juventus, he got 9 goals and 3 assists in the league alone. So immediately you see better numbers here with Chiesa when he plays more games. This is a bad season, of course, but he's injured throughout this season. You can see this is an injury season. So we'll just go past that. And we'll go on to the next season again for Chiesa. And then you can see, yeah, he's got some numbers. Again, a lot of injuries though. That is a big problem when you get Chiesa. A very injury-prone player. Is that a problem if he becomes a squad rotational player, however? Because take for example Nathan Ake. If Nathan Ake next season is playing on the bench a lot and is coming off the bench, it's not playing too many minutes, maybe Nathan Ake then can be a very much less injured player. And again, you go through these, he has had good seasons, a very versatile player. Look at the different positions he's played. Right midfield, right wing, second striker, striker. Like, he can play everywhere. He can play almost everywhere on a pitch. So maybe the secret to unlocking Chiesa is just play him. Let him come into a flow, but also don't overplay him. Allow him to get rest. Allow him to be to not play every game, maybe. For example, if you're playing a Champions League game against a weak opponent, don't play Chiesa. But if you're playing a lower team in the Premier League, go play Chiesa. So that he plays once a week. Once a week, then maybe this player can go and do something for you. He is a winner. He has won 2 Italian Cups in his career. I mean, listen. He has the medal. He has the medal. You cannot argue with that logic. He has the medal. This is a Premier League winner. This is a Premier League winner. So, this is a winner, guys. We've got winning mentality with this. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Let's take a drink. Let's take a drink, guys. But yeah, Chiesa, I would say, is not the very worst. We could get better, but again, not the worst. Very versatile player. Pep Guardiola likes that type of player. So, sure, maybe we could get Chiesa in here. Play him a bit over the pitch. Make sure he plays, basically. Make sure he plays, but once a week. Not too much, not too little. Let him have a rhythm, but let him not be overburdened. That way you manage his injuries, you bring out the best of his flow, and you can get a versatile player in your front line. Maybe to replace Doku or Savio, who already don't get a lot of numbers anyhow. There you go. That is Chiesa steel man for you guys. And I didn't even add Chiesa onto it. There you go. Right then. Liam Delap. I read this out already. My apologies. Throw Huerta FC in. Right, so the rules are only top 4 leagues. That means Serie A, Bundesliga, La Liga, and the Premier League. Huerta plays in the Belgian league, although he is a pretty decent player, so I would not even call this a bad signing. If I was to steelman Huerta for you, I'll put him in here just because Wim is a viewer who watches the channel a lot, so for Wim I'll put him in here. And Huerta, I would argue, you sign Huerta, you loan him out for 2 or 3 years, then maybe you have, I don't know, then maybe if you loan him out for 2 years, you have a player there who can grow up to be a very talented footballer. It's a bit of a risk. He's not too expensive though, and you can always sell him on if it fails. Man City does good business with Anderlecht usually, so it doesn't seem like the worst idea. So let me just add him for you, but yeah, let's follow the rules here. No players who are not from the top 4 leagues other than Huerta, because Wim is a loyal viewer. Up next got another new player, fair on them. Bentancur. You mean Rodrigo Bentancur from Spurs? How old is Bentancur, actually? How old is he? Let me check that. And I want to see what he's won as well. He is 27, and what has he won? He's actually won quite a lot, to be fair. He's actually got quite a few trophies on it. If transfer marshals like to load for us. So, he's won 5 league titles. He's won a Europa League. He's won an Italian Cup. He's won 2 Italian Super Cups. He's won the Argentinian Cup, by the way. He won the double in Argentina in 2015 with Boca Juniors. So this is a player who does have a winning nature to himself, although he does seem a bit too slow at times for the Premier League. So defensive midfielder, 27 years old, coming into that age bracket. So maybe one could put in Bentancur there. Let's say number 6, Bentancur. It's sad, by the way, how you spell it. It's spelled like this, Bentancur. There we go. And let me put that in here while we're at it. There we go. So, Bentancur, I would say, he is obviously a bench option. I would like to see a heat map of him, actually. Let me see a heat map of Bentancur. There we go. Heat map. So yeah, it's a bit all over the place. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but I was looking for someone who has maybe beauty in that central area. But it does seem like he is mostly in that central area. And you also notice, if you look at his heat map, he doesn't go into box to box too much. He's not a box to box player. That is not quite his skill set or question at Spurs, to be fair. But he occupies the area between the boxes, very much a DM-like, but a proper defensive midfielder will then also go in his own box. So it's like a defensive midfielder pushed more up, but not quite like a box-to-box who goes from one box to the other. That is what I would say Bentancur is. He can play central midfield, I believe. Maybe not as effectively, But you bring in Bentancur, you have a Premier League proven player in Bentancur. Maybe, let's say Kovacic leaves. Let's say a lot of players leave, yeah? Because let's look at this right now. If we were to look at our midfield, Kovacic could potentially leave. O'Reilly could be treated as a fullback. Gundogan is looking like he's leaving to Galatasaray. Lewis could leave. McAtee could leave. So then you're left with Bernardo Silva. If all these players leave the club, then you surely would want to get an extra body in there. So maybe all these players leave the club, you can say, let's get Bentancur in here, let's get this extra sticks in the team, this extra midfielder. I know Phillips is still here, but he'll be sold probably. Gonzalez is 1-6, so you have 1-6 in Gonzalez. You have no central midfielder, you have one attacking midfielder in Echeverry. So maybe Bentancur, you could say, we're a bit short in midfield if Pep Guardiola does not quite trust O'Reilly yet to go into our midfield. So Bentancur, that is my steel man for Bentancur. Although I do have to say, Bentancur is yet another not homegrown player in a position where I don't believe that we necessarily need an extra player. Maybe we could get a more homegrown option instead of Bentancur. So I will add that caveat, but should there be no other option, then yes, Bentancur could maybe be an option there. Words did not bottle job anything. Germany was talking. You know me. And let me shamelessly plug myself while we're at it. Like and subscribe, guys. Like and subscribe. It's taken a long time to set up this stream, and I personally enjoy it. I actually enjoyed the stream quite a bit. It's just fun. You don't take it too seriously. You get to talk about something else for once, you know. Because we've been talking about the same stuff a lot recently, so we get to talk about something else. So I actually enjoyed this stream so far. But yeah, I am shameless. So like and subscribe so you can see me more shameless. Onana. Which one? Which Onana are we talking about here? Amadou Onana, Andre Onana, because you've got two very different players there. So yeah. Yeah, what the hell, Onana? Rumors are saying Emi Martinez of Aston Villa is... No way. But one second. Job... sorry. Not Job. Emi Martinez. Let's look at Fabrizio here. Fabrizio will have the best news with this. Fabrizio. Martinez. Latest. Okay, I see no news here from Dibu Martinez. I'm not sure if this is very true. Martinez. And United made a bid. Okay. And United made a bid for Aston Villa goalkeeper in January. Wow, that is shocking. I can't lie. If I'm Martinez, like listen, if I'm Dibu Martinez, I'm not bothered to go to United, am I now? Like what are we doing here? Yeah, that is wild. I can't lie. That is absolutely wild. Anyhow, yeah, we're talking about both, by the way, both Onanas. So, I'll start with Andre Onana. Actually, Andre Onana. I just realized, yeah, this is gonna fit, is it? How do I do this? Yeah, let's do there you go. You know who I mean. You know who I mean. Andre Onana first. And Andre Onana is... How do I even... I'm about to piss a lot of people off. I'm about to piss a lot of people off, bro. You know how I justify Andre Onana? He's not a lot worse than Ederson. He plays in a Man United team where he is a lot more exposed, and because he is so exposed, he concedes so many goals. Now, he could be a better goalkeeper, but with his feet, he is a solid goalkeeper. So, with his feet, maybe Onana is an option there. Not as a starting goalkeeper, so if he's happy to sit on the bench, maybe we can have him as a second choice goalkeeper should Ortega leave. So as a second option goalkeeper, should Ortega leave and we can't get other targets, I suppose Andre Onana is possible. That is the strongest steel man I can realistically make of this guy. We can talk about his time at Internazionale. I did not watch Internazionale that much. I don't like Serie A as much as other leagues. But at the end of the day, that is now 3 years ago, is it not? So, his time at Internazionale is a bit irrelevant at this point. So, I guess we could, just for the sake of the steel man, the strongest possible version of the argument, Andre Onana was a solid goalkeeper in Serie A, where things maybe go a bit slower, that is true, and he's not been able to adapt very well to the Premier League, I understand that, but once again, if you look at Man United, it is an atmosphere of a club where a lot, and I mean a lot of people do fail, a lot of players who are not that bad, like Anthony and Sancho. Casemiro as well immediately flopped the moment he got there. So maybe a lot of these Man United players could look better in a more positive, less toxic club with better coaching staff. Maybe. So that is my Andre Onana. That is my Andre Onana. Steel man. But there's another Onana. There's another one. I'm happy with the Jetki news. Sorry, Nuri news. I'm fucking smoking something. Yeah, Nuri news is bombed, isn't it? Nuri coming. We are cooking, guys. We are cooking. In fact, I don't need to put Nuri in white anymore. Because Nuri, that is a done deal. Nuri is a done deal, guys. Bombed news. Bombed news. Very cool. So, Amadou Onana. Not actually that bad of it, if I'm being honest, because like Amadou Onana, what academy did he graduate? I know he played for the that he didn't graduate from Everton, but like where did he graduate? Zulte, but he went to Hoffenheim, and he went to Lille first, went to Everton. Yeah. I think I'm gonna give you the same argument I gave for Rodrigo Bentancur, to be honest. Because you look at Onana, yeah? Onana can play the 6. He's a bit of a versatile player. He stops counters from happening as well. So, maybe Amadou Onana, can be a rotational player. He's not playing a lot at Aston Villa, so maybe he could be cheap. Pep Guardiola does have a way of improving a 6, and if we can't get anyone better, Nico Gonzalez is probably going to play a lot already this season. He may even play in the 8 and in the 10 sometimes next season. So should that be the case, Amadou Onana being that extra midfielder there, because once again, if you go back to this, we could be in a situation that our only holding midfielder or central midfielder is Bernardo Silva, which is not a great option to have from the bench. So If that is the situation we find ourselves in, we would desperately need to strengthen that position, which Amadou Onana does strengthen it. Once again, same argument as Bentancur here, really, is that he would be a homegrown problem, in my opinion. So a bit of the same argument, but not the worst shout. You know what? I'll tell you honestly, it's not the worst shout you could have given me. Fabulous. Hold on. Is Fabio Silva even under 30? Let me check that out first. Let me check his age, yeah? Fabio Silva is 22. He's got 10 goals at Las Palmas, to be fair. He's got 10 goals at Las Palmas. He was a scrub at Wolves, wasn't he? He was a scrub at Wolves. He scored 4 goals in... Well, is he homegrown? Or does he come through a Portuguese academy? He went to Wolves in 22-23. Did not okay. He's not home. He is not homegrown. He's a Wolves scrub. Not homegrown. That would have been very interesting if he could have maybe set homegrown there. But like, he's got 2 full seasons. It's like he lacks 1 full season. If he had that 1 extra full season, he would actually count as homegrown. It's very frustrating. But again, we're looking at a backup option for Erling Haaland, aren't we? Backup option for Erling Haaland. So let's go with number 19 here. Fabio Silva. Let's pin man off it. So, Fabio Silva, he has decent numbers at my apologies. He has decent numbers at Las Palmas, who, by the way, I don't believe Las Palmas was relegated, were they? Were. Okay, so Las Palmas was relegated, but he was not the worst player at Las Palmas. So, whilst Fabio Silva did suffer the relegation, I will not say inherently that it was his fault. So, Fabio Silva, you bring him in. Listen, it's a bench striker. It's very difficult to find a quality player who wants to hold the bench to Erling Haaland. You probably won't find that type of player. But you get Fabio Silva, you surround him with good players. Look at what he's done in La Liga. You can have a centre forward there who is a bit versatile. He can play left wing, he can play second striker. So maybe in some cases you might, in a severe injury crisis, resort to play him. You may play him against weaker opponents, you may play him 10 minutes at the end of a game. If Haaland gets injured, you may have someone there to keep a system alive. So Fabio Silva, very different player from Haaland, of course, as well. But I don't think that's inherently a bad thing, because it's very difficult. Again, it's just difficult to get these players through the door that wants to sit on the bench for Haaland. But you go to a Fabio Silva, you tell him, listen, you will be benched to Erling Haaland. You will not play that many games, but you know what? You're gonna win trophies, you're gonna receive a lot of money, and you will play your odd cup game. You will have some games where you can play with incredible players. I believe you go to Fabio Silva and tell him this, that he will come. So this is a player that you can get to sit on the bench for Erling Haaland. So not the greatest, but again, there is an option there. When you go for someone weaker than, or for someone to hold the bench to Haaland, who you want to stay, a young player, by the way, who will improve the longer you keep him in the Premier League, one would hope. maybe there is a backup striker there to Erling Haaland. Maybe you unlock a gem. And at the end of the day, if you don't, you will raise his value by bringing him into the Premier League. Don't give him too much insane wages. And if it doesn't work out, you can always sell him. Because there is a young player there. And young players, I don't know. Rosa, you frauds. I'll get back to you in a second. But maybe Fabio Silva, yeah? You then have that player there. That is what I say, and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. It's high risk, high reward. That is how I would put it. High risk, high reward. Either you get something very good out of it, or you get nothing out of it. And at the end of the day, it's not that high risk either. He will not be too expensive. He's currently a second division player. He will not be very expensive to buy. Maybe it's not that high risk, high reward. I'm not sure what his contract situation is right now. We're about to find that out. Fabio Silva contract. A 5-year contract at Wolves. So is he still a Wolves player? Yes, he is a Wolves player. Okay, so you would have to get him off of Wolves. And he has just had a good season. But maybe you can go to Wolves. 20 million. 20 million is not that expensive. In fact, let's say 15 million. I think you can sell him. I think you can sell him on for 20-25 million if you do raise his value. So currently, I would go with 10-15 million. See if they accept, and then you have a sold player there. And if they don't accept, you're not losing out on too much. I would imagine. So that is my Fabio Silva steal, man. That's the best job I could have done there. My throat is getting sore from all the talking I am doing. It's called waffling, isn't it? I enjoyed this though. I enjoyed this. This is fun. This is fun. Completely useless, but it's a fun thought experiment, isn't it? So, how far are we into the stream, by the way? We're almost at an hour. I'm hoping to get the stream to an hour, by the way, so like and subscribe if you haven't already. And let's see if we can get to an hour on the stream. Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Rosa. And in fact, let me look you in the face as I tell you this, Rosa. You are doing me and Wan-Bissaka dirty by mentioning his name here. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is an underrated player who has a defensive ability that people don't rate because he is managed by a poor manager. Just because he played for Man United doesn't mean you ignore that. Yeah? Because, they're the rest. You know what's better? You know what's even better than watching a Man United player fail? It's watching a Man United player succeed at Man City. That's even better. So let's do the steal, man, yeah? Of Aaron Wan-Bissaka. That won't fit on here, will it? Wan-Bissaka. It doesn't fit. It fits. That's what she says. Aaron Wan-Bissaka. There we go. Aaron Wan-Bissaka. We're making it fit, guys. We are making it fit. So Aaron Wan-Bissaka, yeah? Let's pull out his cards. I don't know, 45 short. What number does Wan-Bissaka? He has the number 29. 29, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. So, you put him at right back. Excuse me. You put this guy at right back. You have a very solid backup option there. Now let's say that you have Livramento coming in. Let's assume Matheus Nunes is sold. You have Livramento coming in. Now you have Aaron Wan-Bissaka here as a backup right back. You have just secured 2 right backs. One of super high quality in Livramento. one of lesser quality, but still good enough to play the cup games, happy to sit on the bench, good enough to play against the bottom 5 teams, happy to just be in the Champions League. You have this player, yeah? And he's homegrown. You have 2 homegrown right backs. You need who can play a very similar style of football. Because when you have Aït-Nouri here, and let's take Bissaka out for a second, yeah? Let's put in Livramento. With Livramento, we are most likely going to create a back line with these 3 players over here. These 3 will form a back line, and Aït-Nouri will push up the pitch, and then Aït-Nouri is going to become the de facto winger. Marmoush is going to go into midfield, and you're going to have a kind of box midfield. Marmoush will occupy this region of the pitch, so it won't really be a box midfield, but he'll occupy this region. And Foden will be in this just central area around the box here, while, of course, you have Reinders crashing the box from midfield. Reinders is going to be box to box, that's just what Reinders does. And that way, you have Wan-Bissaka, who can sit deep here, while our other fullback pushes up higher, and or you have Livramento do that, and then you have as a backup to Livramento a homegrown player in Aaron Wan-Bissaka, which, first of all, people need to realize this is not even a steal, man. This is my genuine opinion. You cannot have 2 world-class players in every position. You simply cannot. Sometimes you will have to settle for less. Wan-Bissaka is settling for less. Sometimes you have to do that to build a squad. People forget about squad building. They just want to get the biggest, best players, and they forget about squad building. But you look at Real Madrid last season, and you see how Real Madrid has struggled all season because they had a lot of great players, but they had no squad. They never settle for less. And because they don't settle for less, they don't take that player who is maybe less capable, but more important for the structure of the team. And that has made them struggle all season. So, you can't always have the best player. And I'm not gonna tell you that Aaron Wan-Bissaka is a great player. He is not. But to have him on the bench, it's not the worst, is it? It's not the worst player to have on your bench. That is all I can say really on that. Charles de Ketelaere. I think that's a bit disrespectful to the Ketelaere. Yeah, that's not gonna fit. Charles Ketelaere, there we go. That also not gonna fit. Otherwise. So the Ketelaere, I don't think is the worst option to bring in either. A lot of people may think about the Ketelaere and think De Bruyne replacement. But the Ketelaere is not really that type of player. He is very different from De Bruyne. He's not gonna play make from deep. He's not gonna play make that much in general. He can get a cross in once in a while, but let's go through some statistics of the Ketelaere, yeah? While we talk about this guy. The Ketelaere. So when we're talking about the Ketelaere, 7 goals, 7 assists. 10 goals, 8 assists the season before that. So this is all Atalanta, of course. Decent in the Champions League, to be fair. Yeah. So, you look at these numbers and you might see a player in there, but playmaking is not his strong suit. Like, you just look at this, he's not a playmaker. So, if you were to get him, it would be more so as a winger than as an attacking midfielder, in my opinion. Or, most preferably, a shadow striker to Erling Haaland. Someone who can bounce off Haaland. Now, if you look at this here, you can see the Ketelaere has played almost as many games as a centre forward, as an attacking midfielder this season in Serie A. And really, when he plays as an attacking midfielder, he doesn't play the way Man City plays with a 10. Not a 10, he's an attacking midfielder. It's very different. A 10 is a playmaker, attacking midfielder. It's more like Lampard. And he's not the quality of Lampard, but more like Lampard type of player. So if you understand all of these things about Shatter the Ketelaere, and you're willing to say okay to that, then maybe you can have him as the Foden backup. Because Foden is also not really up 10. Not really up 10, he's an attacking midfielder. He goes and scores goals, he creates his own chances. But he doesn't create for others. You can go check Foden's assisting numbers. Haaland has equal assisting records to Phil Foden, so that is not a slight on these players, that's just the style they play. That is not necessarily a bad thing, because if you look at Man City right now, we have Cherki and Marmoush on the wings, and these are the players who go inside, become the inside stands, like they go from wingers to inside stands, and then you have your fullbacks push up very high, and then you create a very fluid, dynamic system here, where the Ketelaere can become the winger and Rangers can come into the 10, or Cherki can come into the 10 and Rangers can even push up into this half space, crash the box. All of these things to create a very fluid system. So this is not necessarily, again, the worst option for Man City. I would have one major problem with this. You go get the Ketelaere. My question is, what becomes of Echeverri? Because Claudio Echeverri, already struggling for minutes, already rumored to potentially leave. If we go get the Ketelaere, then does Echeverri leave? If the answer is yes, I may not be too big of a fan of that, to be honest. So, Mbappé. Let me think about this one first, because the biggest problem with Mbappé is against squad building wise. So you go get Mbappé. He's a great left winger. Let's be honest. But also he's just not happening. I get that he's a bad signing for completely different reasons, not quite the quality reason. But I feel like I can't do much with that, because I can't realistically justify to you getting Mbappé when we couldn't even realistically get Mbappé. I can't justify that to you. So I get where you're coming from, I get what you want me to do, but it just will not work, logically speaking, for me. So let's go on to your next one. Big up to Zed. Big up to Zed, by the way. Maddison. Maddison under 30. Maddison. Not James Maddison. Birds Maddison. He is 28. Okay. He's 28 years old. I thought he was older than that, actually. Of course, a Europa League winner and a FA Cup winner. He has some decent statistics. My main concern here with Maddison would be the injury history. So let's look at that. He's got quite a few injuries, doesn't he? But he has homegrown. To be fair to Maddison, he is homegrown. So let's run with that. Let's take the homegrown fact and run with it. So you have Maddison here. And by the way, I should add him onto here as well. Maddison. There we go. James Maddison. You've got a homegrown player who can play as a backup to Foden. Now his statistics, if you actually look at it, are not the worst. He is injury prone, absolutely, I agree with you. This is an injury prone player. But think about it. I made the same argument for Ake. I made the same argument for someone else, I can't remember who. And I'll make the same argument now for Fabio Silva. If you are a bench player, and majority of the season you are playing off the bench, you're being rotational, you're only playing one game a week at most. Excuse me. You're only playing one game a week at most. Then it's not too bad. And you look at this. 4 goals, 10 assists, and a not that great Tottenham team. 10 goals, 9 assists. these are decent numbers. These are replicated numbers. So maybe as a bench option, yes, it is a player in there if you just look purely at the numbers. Now, it's homegrown as well, so it helps Foden. Maddison, not maybe the worst option you could have thrown at me. Not the worst. Jackson. Nicolas Jackson. Well, it's actually funny that you mentioned Nicolas Jackson now, because it is of course possible that Nicolas Jackson will be leaving from Chelsea, because Chelsea just went on and signed, who is it? Liam Delap. So Chelsea went on and signed Liam Delap. With that happening, does Jackson leave? I don't know, maybe he does. Where is Foden here? Let me put Foden back in. Let's talk about Nicolas Jackson. Just Jackson. You know who I mean. Nicolas Jackson. Such a weird guy as well, isn't he? Doesn't even know how to pronounce his name. No, sorry, that was Nunez. Who was it? I remembered someone, one of the pro players in the Premier League, like doing the name thing, and then they like, I think, like they don't know what their name is. Is that I can't remember. I think that might be Darwin Nunez. Yeah, Jackson. So again, a backup player to Haaland, but you know what? He gets goals. Let's face it, yeah. Let's go ahead to SofaScore. Nicolas Jackson. Nicolas Jackson. He's 23 years old, so he's still quite young. He's tall. You have an aerial threat in there. He gets good headers, by the way. Headers. Sometimes we struggle with headers, so you get that in. He's not too expensive, especially should Chelsea be bringing in Liam Delap, which they are. It's already confirmed. And Jackson wants to leave. This can go down to 40 million euros. 40 euros to pounds. We are talking about 34 million pounds. That is not too expensive. Have a bench striker, and it's a striker that gets numbers. You look at the conference, so 3 goals in 4 games. You look at the Premier League, he has 17 goals in 44 games. Not the greatest, not the worst either though, let's be honest. Like 14 goals in 35 games, that's not too bad. Gets some assists as well. An overall alright player. If you look at his heat map, it's a bit dull though. His heat map is very weak, but you get him in a high-powered Man City team, as we will be next season with this rebuild. If you look at Rangers, probably Foden. Very strong, high-paced midfield. Like Mush, Haaland as well, like to press. Chetki not as much, but you can learn that to Chetki. So you get this guy in. He's an aerial threat. You can play balls over the top. He likes to press. He is a very good presser, as you can see on SofaScore, which is obviously the best indicator of how good a player is. SofaScore. He has no outstanding weaknesses. So in here you get a player who, whether he will be happy to sit on the bench to Haaland is questionable, but maybe a player that we can keep for 1 or 2 years on the bench to earning Haaland. And then we sell him on, and then we get out the next guy, just like we did with Alvarez. Now we get another one, and another one, and another one. Always have a Haaland covered ready, who can also play a few different positions. Should there be an injury crisis on the wings, you can put him on the wing. Should Haaland be injured, you don't have to abandon your entire system. So there you go. That is Nicolas Jackson, Dealmans. Nkunku. You know what, yeah? Before I even do Nkunku, I need to know what type of goals he got before he joined Chelsea. before he joined Chelsea. Let's go 21 he was at Chelsea already then, but like in the Bundesliga, I mean, you look at these statistics in Bundesliga. You look at this trophy cabinet. Like, we're talking 3 league titles. 3 league titles, man. 4 cups. 5 other cups. A Conference League. This is a serial winner. He was the top goal scorer in the Bundesliga at some point. So maybe Nkunku is not that wild of a shout after all. You have a player there who is also versatile. But I think we're now going in circular a bit. We're talking about the same things now. Because Nkunku to me is a lot of the same stuff that maybe Jackson is. So I would maybe even argue he's a better Nicolas Jackson. So Nkunku, there we go. We've talked about him very briefly. We've been streaming for an hour now, so the next one from Da Silt, Tyler Dibbling, is going to be the last one that we talk about. Tyler Dibbling. Now, I know what you might think. The money for him is absurd. You might think, not that great, because why did we get relegated if he's that great? But hear me out on Tyler Dibbling, yeah? Okay, hear me out, yeah? You get Dibbling, 11. He is a very young player, he's homegrown. Homegrown, young winger. You've immediately got something. You get out Doku, you create space for Bob Savio to play football, and you get Dibbling in there. Let's say you get maybe another player who can play midfield and wing. And now you've got a very versatile squad there, and Dibbling can be a cup player there and can maybe go out on loan. Maybe that's the aim for Tyler Dibbling. Send him out on loan, let him develop, or play Tyler Dibbling consistently in the weaker games, not in the top games, and let him come off the bench consistently. And maybe with being surrounded by footballers like Cherky, Foden, this Tyler Dibbling kid, who is very young, can maybe develop and blossom into a very big talent. 2 cards for Southampton, 2 goals even for Southampton. That is not a lot, but it is his first year playing Premier League. He comes from the Championship, so is it the worst? I would say maybe not. If you look at his Southampton, he's never really been big numbers-wise, has he? But if you look at Foden, Foden was not the biggest number guy either when he first broke through. So for Tyler Dibbling, I would say much the same stuff I said about Fabio Silva or about Huerta. You maybe have a player for the future. And that is what Tyler Dibbling would then be, in my opinion. Whether Tyler Dibbling could be quality for Man City? Listen, I think that this is a 19-year-old kid who's played Premier League for the first time in a terrible team and struggled. And that's okay. It's okay to struggle when you're in a terrible Southampton team and when you're surrounded by senior players who lack ability, who don't help lift you up. So maybe Tyler Dibbling is not the worst option. It is the question of his price, £100 million. I would say you don't have to pay £100 million for Tyler Dibbling. Probably not at the very least. So, that is for me. This stream done. I enjoyed this. I actually enjoyed this. I need to do this next season as well. Next season, I need to do this again, yeah, because this is actually a lot of fun. Just going through all the theoreticals. But yeah, that is my steel man of your worst midfielders. Not worst midfielders, worst players. I say midfielder because we're talking about one right now. Worst possible signings. Some of them not even that bad, to be honest. Some of them easier to steal man than others. But if you think about it, you can find reasons to make some of these plates work. Which goes to show, just because an argument can sound convincing, doesn't mean it's correct. Because I do personally believe that I make a few convincing arguments here, that doesn't mean it's correct. If you actually engage with the argument and honestly argue with it, you may struggle to rebuke it initially, but if you think about this stuff over and over, you can find rebukes. And that's the thing, yeah? You should not be so easily convinced by an argument. And I think that's what this stream also shows. Anyhow, at this point I am waffling. Big up to Zaid for coming in earlier. Big up to everyone who has liked, subscribed. If you haven't already, please do consider liking and subscribing. Helps the channel out a ton. And with that, nobody else is live right now, so I'll just leave it there. I'll see you guys